Side Hustle Show 140, Self-Publishing Success. A stay-at-home mom shares her Kindle story.
Welcome to the Side Hustle Show, where aspiring part-time entrepreneurs learn how to turn their side hustle dreams into reality. Because your 9 to 5 may make you a living, but your 5 to 9 makes you alive. And now, your host, Nick Loper.
What's up? Nick Loper here. Welcome to the Side Hustle Show. We're going international because hustle has no borders. Today we're diving back into the Kindle publishing business with a stay-at-home mom and author and entrepreneur who has more than 50 books to her name. Well, actually, most are under pen names, and we'll get into why that is. But we'll also talk about how she made her debut book under her own name an Amazon bestseller this spring. Her Kindle business earned over $5,000 that month, the month of that launch, and we'll get into how she plans to future-proof her publishing efforts to keep up with Amazon's changing landscape. I'm excited to introduce Jyotsna Ramachandran, which is... You can find her at jyotsnaramachandran.com. Come on, it's just as easy to spell as it is to say. So we'll link that up in the show notes for sure. You can also find Jyotsna at publishmybook.today. So all the notes, links, highlights, and Jyotsna's top self-publishing tips are available to you in a free downloadable PDF at sidehustlenation.com/publish or /140, whichever is easier to remember. I figured I'd try out the keyword shortcut thing because the episode numbers really don't matter. But anyways, so that would be sidehustlenation.com/publish for the show notes for this episode. And one really cool opportunity to share before we dive into it, partnered with 99 Designs to give away a free book design cover. This is a $299 value, and it's a huge step up from getting Fiverr covers. So if you're listening to this, you're probably an author or an aspiring author, or even if you have no book aspirations in the near term, you probably have a book in you somewhere. I like to think that everyone has a book in them, and I'd love to see you have a killer book cover for your next title. So I'm going to link this up in the show notes page as well. You can go directly to the contest entry page at sidehustlenation.com/cover contest. If you don't know how 99 Designs works, professional designers essentially bid on your work with their best designs, and you pick what you want as the winner. So very, very cool opportunity. Thank you to 99 Designs for helping me put that together. sidehustlenation.com/cover contest, and get those entries in quick because this one will wrap on Friday the 13th, November 13th, 2015. All right, let's dive into this conversation with Jyotsna.
Then after my kid was born, I wanted to be at home and run a kind of online business.
Yeah.
And I had no clue about what to start. So while I was Googling, I came across a lot of people doing Kindle publishing. That's when I thought, okay, this has some potential, so let me explore. And that's how I bumped into Kindle, and I started. And I had no idea how to write books. So writing my own books was totally out of question. Neither did I have the time or skills. So I thought, let me start off with outsourcing the books.
Really, I think most people would say, well, I don't know how to write, so that's not going to be a good fit for me. But you say, hey, I know a workaround. That's really kind. I actually posted this question in a authors LinkedIn group once, hey, should authors outsource their writing? And got all sorts of interesting comments, hey, that would be like a football player outsourcing his playing. People were like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of, and other people were like, oh, big time writers use ghostwriters all the time.
I completely understand the author's point of view, Nick, because authors are so passionate about their writing that they just can't imagine outsourcing it to somebody else. But in my case, I didn't know that I could write. So from that point of view, I thought it is better to get it written by somebody else than not do anything,
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really kind of inspiring to take action on that. When you started the ghostwriting empire, you were still you doing the recruiting business full time?
Oh, yes. And once the ghostwriting business picked up, I shut down all the other things I was doing.
Wow, let's kind of dive into that for a minute. I think this is kind of an interesting business model. What was the process like for creating these books? Is it similar to the niche site creation of old, where it's I'm going to start with the keyword research to figure out what people are looking to learn about?
Yes, it's kind of similar. I either take the keyword approach or I take the category approach. basically the idea is to look for topics that are selling well, especially in the US, because US is the biggest market for ebooks.
Okay.
So I would either, just browse through online magazines and see what kind of topics people write books on or even articles on, and then search for similar topics, similar available titles on Amazon, and see if those books are doing well. Or I would just go into the bestseller store and browse category wise and see which are the categories where every book is doing well. So those were the two approaches I used to take to identify topics.
What kind of, in the category search, what kind of metrics were you looking for?
If the top 3 books are ranked less than 10,000, it's a very good category because the books are doing well. So I would usually see up to the top 20 and see if it is under 50,000. So if the top 20 is under 50,000, then I think at least the books are selling few copies every day.
Okay, wow. And you say, hey, I can create something in this category and get it to the top 20.
Exactly.
I would be afraid, and this is, again, maybe the wrong mindset to look at. It's like, well, there's already 20 books on this topic. Like, who am I to add to this? Like, am I going to say the same things that all these books say? What was your thinking on that front? Like, what unique angle can I add to this topic?
Exactly, because the unique angle is what matters. Because anyway, the topic is selling. People are looking for more and more books on that topic. When there are already 20 or 30 books on the same topic, which means that there are so many different aspects to the same topic. So it all depends on the unique angle that we take in the book and how different the book is going to be compared to the others in the market.
Okay, interesting. And all nonfiction in this case?
Yes. I haven't ventured into fiction much. I just have a couple of books and they're not selling well. So I didn't put more money into fiction. So I'm just sticking to nonfiction as of now.
Okay. No problem. I'm all nonfiction all the time. Although someday when I retire, it's always been a dream to come up with the great American novel. What about, what's the next step? So after you find kind of, hey, this looks like an interesting category or an interesting keyword to target, are you is there more research that goes into it, or are you going to find an author at this point?
See, initially when I started, I would actually hire the author first. So I would advertise on sites like Elance and say, I need a book to be written in the gardening genre. Okay. So if you have any prior experience or interest in this topic, then please apply for the job. So that's how I would find the writers. And once I choose the writer, then I would keep the writer with me for at least 5 or 10 books in that category, so that every time I don't have to go find new writers.
Oh, okay.
So I have tried out with these content writing companies, but I didn't have some great experience because you hardly get to interact with the writer. You have a project manager who would be, like the mediator between you and the writer. So you can't get your point across effectively. So that's why I decided to just get away from these content writing companies and directly work with writers through Elance.
Do you find, were you creating an outline to hand off to them, or just say, hey, I need a book about gardening? What have you got?
Initially my effort was very minimal, Nick. I would just give them the topic and say that, see, these are the 10 books that are doing well. Make sure the book doesn't look like an exact copy of these, but do your own research and come out with something unique. But, my learning in the last 2 years has been that low quality books don't sell beyond a point. And, out of the 60 books, I would definitely not be able to say that, these are the 10 books that I'm really proud of. So that's a huge learning that I had after I wrote my own book and saw the kind of success and, fame and the recognition I got after writing my own book, because that was totally different than producing these ghostwritten books. Because even if you find a good writer, it's very challenging to come out with great content because that person is not a PhD in gardening at the end of the day. So it was a challenge, and initially, I took up many courses on Kindle publishing, and all these Kindle gurus would tell you, write a 5,000 word book and just put it out there and stuff. But it doesn't work. Initially, it worked for me because the market was new and people, that is the consumers, the customers who bought the books did not know that these were ghostwritten, and the books would sell very well. But now I feel in the last few years, there are so many people doing the same thing, and there are many crappy books in the same topic that people have got really intelligent, especially the consumer on Amazon. They can easily make out the difference between an original book written by a knowledgeable author and a ghostwritten book written by somebody who has no clue about the subject.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I'm sure you can also easily make out, by just seeing the cover and by just flipping through the book, you will know that there is hardly any value inside the book. So the initial books that I put out were actually selling for me for the first 6 months to a year, but after that they stopped selling. So when I went back and saw what exactly the problem was, I realized that initially I did some kind of marketing. I used to exchange reviews and do all the things that these courses taught me to make sure that the book starts selling. But after a point when the real readers start reading the book, they would start putting the authentic negative reviews. That's when many of the books started suffering, and then I became a lot more quality conscious after I put out my own book.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for being honest about that. I think a lot of people will appreciate you saying that. And that's kind of been my experience. I tried to have one book ghostwritten where it's like, I'll put together the whole outline and be like, I need, 12,000 words on this topic. Look, like I've spelled out and I give her like a 1,500 word outline, and it just was not publishable. Like, I mean, maybe it could have been under somebody else's name, but something I never could put out under my own name. And,
Exactly.
I posted about that in one of the Facebook groups, and so many of the like experienced, content writers and stuff were like, well, how much did you pay? And I was like, well, it's $220, and which was not even the lowest bid. And they were like, yeah, there's no way you can get quality from that. So
It's a very short-term strategy, Nick. It's just, it may give you money for the first few months, but then once the real readers start reading the book and they don't like it, I mean, at the end of the day, quality matters. And what I realized is that when I was anonymous, when nobody knew me, it was okay for me to do all that.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows who's the person, who's spending on these books and who's publishing them. So it really doesn't affect you. But after my own book, Job Escape Plan, got published, and a lot of people started asking me about my online business, and they started asking me, okay, show me some of the books that you've published. Then I started asking myself, am I actually proud of showing these books to them? So that was a huge turning point, which happened around 6 months back.
Yeah. The book did really well this spring. So do you think there's still opportunity in the ghostwriting strategy, kind of the shotgun strategy of putting out these nonfiction books in certain categories, or are you trying to transition more into your own writing now?
What I'm thinking of doing now, Nick, is that actually there is huge potential in Kindle, because every day the number of people buying Kindle books is just increasing. But the only difference is that people have become more quality conscious. So it is, as publishers, it's our duty to put out good stuff. So what I have now decided to do is that I will only publish books on topics where I have complete knowledge about. Because, if I put out a book on some intermittent fasting or something like that, and I've never fasted in my life, I will not know whether the book has good information or not. Even if I give it to an editor, the editor is not going to know whether the information is authentic. So the idea is to only stick to genres where I have some knowledge in. For example, now what I've decided is to come up with a series of books that are based on running businesses from home. Because I run a business from home, so I can actually tell the writer that this is exactly the book that I want. And to take it a step further, either I'm going to write the books myself, but if I don't have the time, I'm planning to actually give the step-by-step, the entire book in a nutshell to the writer and get that written from them. So that's another idea then. And another thing that I'm trying to work out is, have you heard of Book in a Box?
From Tucker Max?
Exactly, yeah. So I was fascinated by that concept, because the book is actually not written physically by the author, but they are actually interviewed by these experts who extract all the information needed for the book, and they transcribe it, and then they convert that into a manuscript. So in case I don't have time to put out a book every 2 months, then I may even try that out in future. So because that way I can put my name on the book, because all the information is from me, but I don't have to necessarily sit down and write the book.
Yeah, and he's charging what, $15,000 for the service?
Yes, that's an expensive service. So maybe with my team of freelancers that I already have for my other publishing company, I can get it done in-house.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea at all. In fact, that's a very appealing business. Hey, you're just going to talk to somebody for, all day, 10 or 12 hours, tell your stories. We'll take it all down. We'll craft that into a book for you. So definitely an opportunity there. With the ghostwriters today, if somebody has an idea for a book and they don't necessarily have the time to write it, what's it cost to have a decent writer take these ideas and put that into book form?
Most of the ghostwriters on Elance charge around $1 for 100 words. So if the book is going to be, say, 10,000 words long, it's going to cost them $100. But my pro tip here is going to be that don't just use a ghostwriter alone. It's important to have an editor as well.
Okay.
Because most of the initial books that I published were never edited because I assumed that these writers are going to self-edit.
$100 for 10,000 words seems impossibly cheap.
Yes, that's the ongoing rate. But if you manage to find some real good writers, they're going to charge 2 or 3 times more than that.
Yeah, okay.
But that's a big challenge again to find such writers. So it's better to get it written by somebody for cheap and then edit it using an expensive editor.
Oh, okay. How much does an expensive editor charge?
Well, at Publish My Book Today, which is our publishing service, we charge around $150 for editing 100 words. Sorry, 10,000 words.
Okay, so like a penny and a half a word.
Yeah.
And
So I think if somebody invests enough and equally on both the writing and editing, at least the book is not going to have these errors. And mostly the readers get turned off by the errors and not much about the content actually. The minute they see a grammatical mistake, they just can't stand it and they'll immediately leave a negative review.
Yeah, it's really, and I learned this the hard way. I learned this very interesting way for my first book. Like I went and hired an editor off of Elance and was so glad that I did. Like they helped me so much with the formatting, and actually they didn't charge quite that rate because they were new to the platform and just kind of getting started. And I was like, hey, I'm happy to take a chance on you since I don't know if this is ever going to sell, and we'll see what happens. And he caught so many mistakes. It's like, oh my god, this is like super embarrassing. But it's really tough to edit your own work. So
I really appreciate you, Nick, for that because you yourself are an editor, but
Right.
Still you understand the necessity to outsource it to another editor because you will definitely miss it out when you are self-editing it, right?
Yeah, it's really tough. And thankfully my wife's pretty good proofreader. So she goes through a lot of the newer books. And actually for blog posts, I send a lot of them off to a service called Fancy Hands, just to, hey, would you mind proofreading this? And a lot of times they catch stuff that I never would have caught in surprisingly good. So that's kind of a cool subscription service. And if you wanted to do it for a book, you just say, hey, read this chapter or proofread this chapter, proofread this section. So one workaround for that. I mean, these guys aren't professional editors, but it's a good first line of defense. Tell me about the job escape plan, because this hit the top of the charts when it launched this spring. Curious specifically on the marketing plan that went into that and what the results of that were.
Sure, Nick. First of all, a big thanks to you for being a contributor for the book and having that amazing course on Udemy, because I really went through that course before I launched the book launch course. I launched the book in a big way because that was the very first book that I wrote myself. So I invested a lot of time and effort in launching it. Mm-hmm. And the results were pretty good as well. When it was on a free promo, I think it ranked number 42 in the entire Kindle store.
Wow. And that's thousands of downloads a day. That's big.
Yeah, I think I got around 5,500 downloads in a couple of days. And and then it ranked in the 1,000 and 2,000s in the first couple of months, which was very good. So and now it's just maintaining its rank in its category. So I'm pretty glad about the response the book has got, because I got tons of reviews for the first time without doing all these review exchanges, It was some real readers reading the book and writing reviews. So that was a very fulfilling experience, Nick.
Yeah, that's good. So you went with the free launch plan. Anything you did to build buzz in advance of the release?
Oh, yes. I started with creating a book trailer, actually. So I informed the whole world even before I finished writing the book. I created a book cover as I started writing the book, and I put it out there, and I told on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere that, hey, I'm writing this book. So initially I was shy, I was thinking that I'm just marketing myself too much, but I realized that I'm putting so much effort in writing a book, which is actually to serve people. So if I look at it as if I'm marketing myself to serve more people, if even if a few people quit their jobs after reading the book and start some business, that's going to serve the purpose. So I changed my mindset and I started promoting it in a big way by putting out the book cover and putting the book trailer out. I even created a landing page much before the book release, a month before. And
Okay.
I said that, just join my launch team and I will give you free copies of the book. And in exchange, people agreed to read the book and review it. So all that really helped to create the pre-launch buzz. For the launch, I just followed the strategy that you suggested, Nick. I initially launched it without telling many people, and I asked my friends and family for reviews. And after I got some 20 or 30 reviews, I put it on a free promotion.
Oh, okay.
And the free promotion lasted for 3 days, and on the middle of the third day, I cut it at around noon time in Pacific time.
Okay.
So that really helped in getting some 99-cent sale. And then I promoted it on various 99-cent websites for a week. And Buck Books was the grand finale. So
Okay.
I think I sold more than 350 copies on that single day at Buck Books.
Okay, cool. That's a good addition to the free launch plan, is like have something in place to keep some momentum at 99 cents, which is something I didn't do. So that's a good hack. So Buck Books is one of those promo sites. Any other ones that really drove a lot of sales, you believe?
I think Bargain Booksy helped me, and there is one more called Booksends. And actually, every month a new site is coming up which is doing well. I recently heard from somebody that Robin Reads is good. And I have a friend, his name is Holger. I think his pen name is James Mayfield. And he has this Facebook promotion service. So that's very good as well, especially for the free promotion. So he would submit your book to plenty of Facebook groups and all these forums like Reddit and everywhere, Pinterest and all those places. And I think he charges around just $12 for promoting your book on a day, and it really gives very good results.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. We'll link all of that stuff up in the show notes. So thank you for sharing those resources.
I feel, Nick, for a good book launch, most people actually ignore the marketing part, and that's what really matters. So if people have to spend some money, then it has to be on the book cover and then on the editing and finally on the marketing. So one shouldn't cut pennies on these three things.
Okay, no, that's good to know. Yeah, the book cover, very important, professional looking cover. A handful of my covers could probably use a refresh there. I've got the first cover I had was on Fiverr, and then actually intended to buy 5 or 10 different samples to see what I liked. And actually, I think the second one came back. I was like, oh, I really like that. Let's run with that. And then since then, I've made a lot of covers myself on just in PowerPoint and stuff, or my wife has helped. Like the treadmill desk book cover is actually me walking on the treadmill, and she took a picture and did a nice little like blur effect for the cover. But investing in a cover art. Did you go to Elance for your cover artist as well, or where did you find them?
It's mostly through places like Elance and Fiverr, and most people actually underestimate the potential of Fiverr because it's only $5. Mm-hmm. But if you find a good designer, they are just going to give you the very basic service for $5. And for my job escape plan cover, I found this guy on Fiverr, but I ended up spending around $55 till I came up with the final cover that I really liked.
Right. So still like in the grand scheme of design expenses, very, very affordable.
Yeah. So I think that way one should not discount Fiverr. They can actually find some good people there. And right now, because we have a team of designers for our publishing company, we all the time keep looking for new designers on different places. And and then they start working for us full time. And some of them have even given up Fiverr and they are working with us full time. So that way, I think you can find good talent anywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I wanted to just clarify, at the time that this book launched, no built-in audience, no big email list to speak of.
I didn't have any email list, Nick.
Okay.
The first email list I ever started building was this pre-launch page. Okay. So that was the very first email, and I think in a couple of weeks, some 100 people signed up for helping me with the book launch. So that's the first email list. And in fact, I launched my website along with the book. Until then, I never had a personal website. So yeah, that also matters a lot, Nick, because nowadays the readers will look at the author profile and will also go and check out the author's website. So if somebody is seriously investing time in writing a book, it's an important thing to have a website to talk more about what you do, have a blog, and have some good content apart from the book. So that would really help in boosting the credibility of the author.
Yeah, absolutely. I like how you had some built-in, like what I like to call some built-in virality to it by having the 10 different, interview bonus segments or whatever. It's like, hey, that's automatically 10 people who want to share this to help spread the word. So I thought that was a good tactic as well. And now, so you mentioned, hey, we've got these full-time designers working for us. What business has this translated into, the publishing business?
Yes, this was actually an accident, Nick. Just like how I'm talking to you, after my book launch, I wanted to be in a bunch of podcasts to keep promoting the book. So, writing guest blogs and being on other people's shows was again another marketing strategy that has helped me to maintain the sales of the book. In one such interview, I met Ani. Ani has this great podcast called The Right to Be Read podcast. So she is a fiction writer, and after our interview, she called me back within a couple of hours. I was wondering if the interview went okay or she wants me to ask more questions. Uh-huh. But then she told me that I have this cool business idea. I understand how the mentality of fiction writers, and you have got into nonfiction now, and you also have a team of people doing the covers and all that for your book. So why can't we create this service where authors just have to do their writing and give us the manuscript, and we'll take care of the remaining publishing process? Because not all authors go to these publishing courses to learn the whole thing, and they don't want to learn also, many of them. They just want to publish that one book that has been there on their bucket list and then carry on with their life. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I thought it's a wonderful idea. And she said the existing services which are doing something similar are taking away the royalties of the authors, which is not a great thing to do. So she said, let's just charge a one-time fee and let's have packages where we'll do the covers, the editing, the formatting, choosing the keywords and categories, putting it on Amazon. And if people just want to pick and choose a service, they could do that as well. And we are also doing the higher level services like author websites and doing audiobook narration. So basically, we have put this whole team of freelancers together, and they are helping us to serve our clients.
Oh, wow. Okay. And this is at publishmybook.today, not .com. So publishmybook.today. Yeah, very interesting service to kind of come out. Again, just goes back to show, hey, you don't really know where this business is going to go in 2 years. Starting out doing the, ghost written, like you said, admittedly, not the world's best content in the world. Then, hey, turn out to write a book of your own that does really well, and you become kind of a sought after pro. And I love Annie's stuff too. So she's a great person to partner with. And now you've got this whole service business.
Exactly. And this business was also something that could give us the flexibility of working from anywhere, because all our clients are from across the world and our team is also from different parts of the world. So we all work through the internet. So it was very convenient for both of us. We just had to use our existing skills and, use our network to build this. So it was fun, and it's been 3 months and we've already served more than 25 clients.
Wow, that's awesome. How have they come to find you?
Well, right now it's mostly through word of mouth. We are planning to craft a good affiliate program where we would tie up with influencers like you, Nick, who would promote us. But as of now, it's all been through word of mouth, and people and friends who know that we've started this service have taken our service, and they've been telling this to their friends. So that's how we've been getting clients so far.
Okay, wow, yeah, kind of a cool service business that can be. Well, like you said, you've got the team of freelancers in place that could scale pretty quickly, and tapping into what I'll call the piggyback principle, or tapping into a gold rush like self-publishing, and be like, okay, how can I be the person? I've been mining for gold myself, but now I can be the person that also helps sell the shovels into it too. So I have a cool business. That kind of the focus for the next foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think so. Because a lot of people have understood that to grow any business, it's very important to put a book out there, because it instantly raises your value as a business owner. The minute you say that I am an authority in this topic. So a lot of people have understood that, and they are writing their books. So the good thing about this business is I'm not serving publishers who want to publish 20 books a month, like the way I used to publish, because those people cannot afford this service because it's not for those people who are just doing the factory-made kind of books.
Yeah.
It is for authors who are serious about publishing a good quality book. So it also gives me that satisfaction that I'm helping somebody to put their message out there.
Is there like a marketing plan that's included to figure, hey, we'll get you to the top of the charts?
Well, actually, we never thought that we should have this, because we were only focusing on the publishing part of the business. But as soon as someone publishes their book, they are immediately coming back to us and asking if we could help them with the launch as well, because they know that my book has been doing well and all that. So now we are planning to come up with a package for people who have already availed our service. So if they've availed our service, we know that at least the cover and the editing and all that is going to be of good quality. So it's easier to market such books, rather than market any book out there. So we are planning to offer that extra package to the people who've already taken our package.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, you got to listen to what the people listen to what the people want and give it to them. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's not that people don't know how to do it, because they are following a lot of people like you, and they know that this is the way books are supposed to be marketed. It's just that these busy people don't have the time.
Yeah, it's time consuming. It took, weeks and days and hours to put all this stuff together, line up all the promos and send all these messages and, beg for reviews. And it's, it is very time consuming. So if you had somebody with a done for you service on that, kind of like what Austin has done with the Epic launch.
Exactly. Yeah.
And there's one other one. What's the other one? Well, Tom Morkus got his own company doing something similar. So all sorts of similar. The done for you launch. It used to be, hey, I wrote the book on the topic, but now it's like I wrote the best selling book on the topic, right? Somebody's got to get me to the top of the charts.
Exactly, yeah. And you know what? There are such amazing people like Austin and Tom and everybody doing this, that we're all the time in touch with them, because there are certain things which may not be my expertise. So we can always collaborate with these other companies that are specialists in what they're doing. Absolutely.
All right, Jyotsna, thank you so much for joining me. It's jyotsnaramachandran.com. And yes. Apologies on the pronunciation. We will link that up in the show notes, because that's a tough one to spell. And publishmybook.today. And we'll wrap it up with your number one tip for Side Hustle Nation.
Allocate at least 1 hour every day for your side hustle, preferably in the morning. Because for any business that I started, it was always this 1 hour in the morning. So be consistent with that, and make sure that you keep hustling for at least 6 months. Don't give up too soon. So make sure that you keep putting in that extra effort every single day, and the results are bound to happen. And for most side hustlers, many of the times your family or your friends may not understand what you're doing. So it's good to have a community, or at least a small group of individuals to support you. So I started growing my business in a big way after I joined a mastermind group. So I would suggest that please form one yourself if you can't find one.
Yeah, I like it. Obviously, I'm a fan of masterminds myself, and I like that call to make it a daily habit. To spend that hour a day to make some progress, move forward, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. It definitely adds up over the course of the weeks and the months. So, Jyotsna, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Sure, Nick. It is a privilege to be on the Side Hustle Show.
Yeah. Tons of insight and resources from Jyotsna in this episode. Quick plug, if you'll allow me. If you're ready to dive into Kindle publishing, I do have a Udemy course on the topic at kindlelaunchcourse.com. It's aimed at new nonfiction authors and giving you all the information and marketing ammunition you need to launch your book to the top of the charts, as Jyotsna did. And she was kind enough to give it a nice, unexpected testimonial there during the recording. So if you visit kindlelaunchcourse.com, we've got a special discount code for Side Hustle Show listeners. Now, we covered a lot of ground in this call, and even though the Kindle business is getting tougher, it's still an exciting market to be a part of, at least for me. I mean, maybe it's the ego trip of having written a book, and maybe it's the allure of passive income, creating something once and selling it over and over again. Or maybe it's just the cool opportunity to put your words and your work out into the world. It's a for-profit hobby, like John would say. So be sure to grab the PDF highlight reel from this episode at sidehustlenation.com/publish. My top themes and takeaways from the episode: number one, publish quality. Make something that you'll be proud of. Number 2, don't skimp on covers, editing, or marketing. I really liked how she itemized those out for us. And it's just another example of the best opportunities not being visible until you're already in motion. Now, Jyotsna, she would never had the confidence to publish her own book if it wasn't for her pen name books. And she would have never started her publishing business with Annie if it wasn't for the success of Job Escape Plan. So it just all kind of compounds on each other. So speaking of book covers, Side Hustle Show listeners can enter to win a free book cover design from 99 Designs at sidehustlenation.com/cover contest. That's all one word. I'm going to also link that up to from the show notes page. So if you go to sidehustlenation.com/publish, you'll also be able to find it over there if you're in the market for that highlight reel or entering the contest. Now, that's a $299 value to take your book to the next level, your next title to the next level. So guys, thank you so much for listening. Until next time, let's go out there, make something happen, and I'll see you in the next edition of the Side Hustle Show. Definitely stay tuned next week because my guest is going to share how she used a social network I knew nothing about to grow her site to 400,000 page views and $5,000 a month in her first year. You won't want to miss it. Hustle on.
Thanks for listening to the Side Hustle Show at www.sidehustlenation.com.